Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to Sweetwater's Guitars and Gear. This time out, I've got a brand new line of amplifiers here at Sweetwater for you to check out, and I've got a tip on keeping your guitar happy during the dry months of the year. Let's get started. So this amplifier is the Hughes Kettner Tubemeister 36. It's part of a new series of amplifiers from Hughes Kettner that encompasses a 5-watt model, an 18-watt model, and then the 36-watt model. There are head versions of each of those, and there's also a combo version of each. Now these amps are really packed full of features. Let's take a tour of the front panel. The Tubemeister 36 amplifier is a 36-watt amplifier. It has a power soak on it, so you can actually switch that wattage lower. We'll look at that later. But it's a 3-channel amplifier. So we've got a clean channel, and that channel has its own bass, mid, and treble controls, as well as gain and volume controls. The two additional channels, the crunch channel and the lead channel, share a 3-band EQ, but each has its own independent gain control and volume control. Now the channels are each individually voiced, so the clean channel has a nice sparkling clean. The crunch channel has a lot of chunk to it, a lot of bottom end. Now you can push that gain up to where it makes an effective lead channel as well, but it stays nice and clean and it's very responsive to your volume control, so you can turn the volume down to clean the tone up. The lead channel is the most saturated of the 3 channels. It's the most compressed and has the most gain. It kind of picks up its gain levels where the crunch channel leaves off. So if we start out with our gain set on the lead channel at about 9 o'clock, we'll have still a decent amount of gain. Now we turn up to 50%. Lots of nice gain, lots of sustain there. Let's turn the gain up even farther. So plenty of gain there for whatever amount of sustain that you want. Still a nice cutting sound though. It has nice bright top end to it, a lot of nice harmonics in there. It's easy to have harmonics jump out in your playing, and there's also a lot of nice touch sensitivity to that as well, so you can back off, and it still is a very dynamic and articulate amplifier. Now we're not done with the features on this amplifier yet. When we turn it around to look at the back panel, there's a lot more to check out. The back panel is loaded with interesting features. First of all, we have a MIDI input, and it has a learn button, so you can set it up to work with whatever controller you're using. You can get a dedicated foot switch for this, or you can make it a part of your entire MIDI system as well. And you can take control over the channel switching as well as the attenuator switching. Next up, we've got an effects loop, and you can switch that on and off using the button. Next to that, we have reverb on the back panel, and that reverb is applied to all 3 channels. It's switchable on off as well. Now the very interesting thing here is that this amplifier has a built-in Redbox DI. The Redbox DI is a proprietary system from Hughes Kettner that simulates the sound of a speaker cabinet, actually a 4x12 speaker cabinet, and what you've been hearing throughout this video is actually the Redbox output. So there's no microphone on this amplifier. We've been coming straight out into our cameras using the Redbox output. Next on the back panel we have the TSC, which is the tube safety control. And this is actually a system that automatically keeps the tubes in bias and also detects when a tube is going bad and compensates for it inside the amplifier, so you should never have problems with your tubes when you're running this amplifier. Next to that we have a power soak. The interesting thing here is it's not just a power soak for turning down the volume, but you can actually set power outputs. So without any power soak at all, we have 36 watts. You can also switch it down to 18 watts, to 5 watts, or 1 watt. So you can drop that volume down if you're practicing at home, if you're going into rehearsal, if you're going into a club. You can set whatever volume level is appropriate for that, and still have overall volume control from the front as well with the channel volume controls. Here in the room I'm listening to the amplifier using a Hughes Kettner 1x10 cabinet. This cabinet happens to be loaded with a 1030 Celestion speaker, which is a nice punchy sounding speaker. There are 3 different heads in the series. There's a 36-watt head, there's an 18-watt head that has 2 channels, and there's a 5-watt head that has a single channel. There also are combo versions of each of these amplifiers. The 36-watt combo has a 12-inch speaker, the 18-watt combo has a 10-inch speaker, and the 5-watt combo has an 8-inch speaker. Now what I really like about this cabinet is it actually weighs less than 15 pounds. So with this very compact head that comes with a padded carrying bag and a 15-pound cabinet, you can take your entire rig, your guitar, your amplifier, your cabinet, all with you in one trip from the car into the gig. The Hughes Kettner Tubemeister amps are great for just about any situation. You can scale the power to work at home, on stage, in the studio, or in rehearsal. An incredibly versatile amplifier as far as tones go, from clean to heavily saturated. This is an amplifier that's great for just about any player. I really recommend checking it out. There are several indicators that your guitar may be drying out. First of all, you may notice the action has changed. The action may have dropped down because the relief has gone out of the neck, and you may have more string buzz. The second thing you may notice is the fret ends protruding from the sides of the fingerboard, and that's because the fingerboard is dried out and shrunk a little bit, so those ends stick out, and you'll feel those sharp edges when you run your finger along the side. Third of all, you may notice the tone changes because the wood is drying out, and this is particularly evident with acoustic instruments, but it can happen with electrics as well. Fourth, you may notice the wood actually looks dried out, and the instrument feels different than it did before. So there are some indicators that the humidity is too low. Another thing you can do is pick up a hygrometer. Planet Waves makes a great one. A hygrometer tells you what the humidity is in the room. And typically guitars are comfortable at the same place that we're comfortable. I like to keep my guitars in the 40 to 60% range of humidity. That keeps them just about where they need to be as far as moisture content goes. You don't have those changes in action, fret end problems, and those sorts of things. So pick up a hygrometer and keep your rooms humidified during the dry months of the year. Thanks for joining me for Sweetwater's Guitars and Gear. Be sure to tune in next time. We'll have more guitars, amps, effects, and we'll be making lots of music. I'm Mitch Gallagher.